A very good afternoon, everybody. My name is Felicia, aka MN Audi Girl. I'm here today with Carrie Kissner with Kiss's Cars, Classic Cars, excuse me.
Yep.
And I'm also here with Events with Cars, and it's a lovely Friday afternoon, and we're here in Bob's garage. Is that correct?
Yes, Bob Schroeder.
Bob Schroeder's garage, and we have a rare opportunity today to connect with Carrie and the vehicle owner Bob about this beautiful SS Chevelle behind us. So I'm going to speak a little bit to the vehicle, and I'm also going to ask this young man, Carrie, about the build and some of the aesthetics behind it. So Carrie, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Felicia.
Great to meet you too, and I greatly appreciate your time today. So my understanding is that in this SS Chevelle, it's a 1970, and it has a 427 engine in it. Is that correct?
It sure does.
With a 2.9 liter Whipple supercharger.
It's a supercharger, and it's fast.
Okay.
Let's start with the name of the car, C-Ducer.
C-Ducer.
How's that sound?
It sounds pretty badass to me.
Yes.
And I understand there's a bit of a story behind it, so in a moment we're going to get the story. But I think what our viewers are probably most excited to hear about is about 4 years ago this vehicle was put on the dyno. And how much horsepower does this vehicle actually have?
The C-Ducer with the 427 supercharger blower was dynoed at almost 1,000 horsepower.
Okay.
That's the magic number. That's what people want to hear.
That's the magic number.
Right.
And I also understand that the vehicle has about 879 foot-pounds of torque.
Torque, that's another good thing. Everybody loves torque. Yeah, the old Seducer. It's a fun car. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous from top to bottom. Underneath the car is as nice as the top of the car is.
Yes, gotta look right
Every
there.
nut and bolt was turned professionally, perfectly done.
I can see that.
Bob, he knew what he wanted when he wanted to build this car, and he did it well. He told us how to do it, and we were able to get it done, and we're so appreciative for Bob and his wife, Serena.
Yes.
The real boss.
The real boss, Serena.
We got this car built, and like you say, about 4 years process.
Okay. So aesthetically, the exterior of this vehicle is just as beautiful as underneath the hood. Tell me a little bit about the paint. I understand it's a PPG paint, is that correct?
Correct, it is.
Okay.
Everybody knows paint products, and they got their favorite names, and PPG was a great name to stick with, and also they're a great product.
Yeah.
So we had Bob pick a color out,
Yes.
which was hard. I mean, Bob was all over the board, from green to blue to black, or he was working at it, so he went with this blue, and we call it Heavenly Blue.
Heavenly Blue, and my understanding is that it has deep pearl white paint stripes. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Okay.
The stripes on this thing are phenomenal.
Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful.
They're totally smooth. You can't feel any edges. That's part of what the KISS Classic
Yes.
Car team does.
Excellent. Carrie, tell us a little bit about how you started your business, Kiss's Classic Cars.
Oh boy, it seems like yesterday.
Yeah.
We're pushing 40 years now here, coming up in 2021. I started the business when I was 20 years old, wrenching on the cars myself.
Yes.
Moved out of that into the office part, and boy, that was a surprise to try to run a business now.
Sure.
But looking back, I think I did the right thing. I've got some great guys that are helping us out now
Yes.
with Shane and Dennis and Mason, and we got a really good crew up here, and it's been fun to work with these type of cars, these type of builds, these high-end builds.
Yes.
Are phenomenal.
And is that what you specialize in? Are you mostly muscle car, high performance muscle cars? Is that your forte?
Well, we do a little bit of everything. We're kind of getting a little more into the Russell mod type car where your car looks old, but it has all the new features. The steering's nice, the brake's nice,
Okay.
and it starts all the time. So we do a little bit of everything.
Excellent. Okay. Well, I thank you so much for your time today, and in just a moment we'll show you some under the hood aesthetics. Everything in this vehicle, top to bottom, just as Carrie mentioned, is absolutely immaculate. This is a beautiful vehicle. It is extraordinarily rare. We'll go more into the specs in just a moment. Until then, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
All right. Got it. Okay. A very good afternoon, everybody. I hope this finds you well. My name is Felicia, aka MN Audi Girl. I am here today with Events with Cars and also Bob Schroeder. Bob, it's a pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you.
Thank you for being here. Today we're here to talk about your beautiful vehicle, which is behind us. My understanding, we have a Chevelle SS. Is that correct?
Correct. 1970.
1970 Chevelle SS. It's absolutely stunning.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about the story behind how you acquired this beautiful vehicle.
Well, it came from a Chevelle that I found down in Iowa. It was a Malibu, just a plain Malibu, and it was in pretty rusty condition. And so I brought it up to Kiss's Classic Cars.
Okay.
And I said, I'd really like to make this into a beautiful car.
Okay.
And so they started the process. It started in December of 2014.
Okay.
And we finished in November of 2018, where we brought it to Muscle Car Nationals in
Wow.
Chicago.
So that's a long-term build. Tell us about where Kiss's Classic Cars started from an engine perspective. Talk us through a little bit about what's under the hood.
Okay. It's a Borowski 427. It's
Okay.
an LS7, and Borowski is one of the top LS engine builders in the country. They're located down in Joliet,
Okay.
and we were looking for an engine that had massive amount of horsepower and a lot of torque,
Right.
and they had just the engine for us.
Okay.
So this one puts out 991 horsepower,
Okay.
and 879 pounds of torque.
That is nothing to mess with.
No, it's a lot of horsepower, but it's a numbers thing, and it
Right.
looks beautiful. The chrome just stands out so beautifully,
It really is.
especially with the blue color.
Right. What is the name of the paint?
It's called Heavenly Blue.
Okay.
Heavenly Blue.
And you have these beautiful white stripes
white
on it.
stripes, which were characteristic of 70 Chevelle.
Sure.
In fact, when you look at the car in any way, whether it's the exterior or the interior, I wanted it to still resemble a 1970 Chevelle in
Sure.
most every ways, except for the Foose rims and the steering wheel.
Okay.
Most everything on the car is stock. The interior is somewhat modified, but I wanted the design still to be similar to a 1970 Chevelle SS.
Okay. So thank you for all that information. That's a lot to absorb, and I'm going to ask you some additional questions
Oh, sure.
about the vehicle.
Yeah, please do.
My understanding is that you have nicknamed the vehicle. Can you tell us what the nickname of it is, and how did you nickname it?
It's called C-Ducer.
Okay.
Because when I looked at the car, I just felt like it was seducing me.
Yes.
The color, the chrome, it just stands out so much, and so it seduces me. The letter C is important in GM cars too, because
Sure.
the Corvette, the Chevelle, many of the muscle cars that GM made started with the letter C,
Wow.
and so that's where that term kind of came from.
That's very creative. Tell us a little bit about, tell us a little bit about the transmission of the vehicle.
Good question. It's a custom Hughes transmission. It's a 480 LE. It's rated up to 1,500 pounds of torque,
Wow.
which is plenty. This car, of course, doesn't put out that much, but
Okay.
it's capable.
It's capable of doing so.
Right.
And I suppose that helps support the 991 horsepower that it has.
Right.
Yeah. And have you ever taken this to a track? And if not, any thoughts on how it would perform in a quarter mile?
Yeah, I have not taken it to a track yet.
Okay.
I'm too afraid to really get on it.
Sure.
Because that's a
baby.
lot of horsepower. Yeah.
Right.
It's only got just a little less than 400 miles on it, so it's still trying to get broken in.
Absolutely.
But at some point, it would be kind of fun to do that. I can imagine what that would be like.
Yeah. Cool. What's your favorite element in the 4-year build that Kiss's Classic Cars took on with this build? What was your favorite element or facet of the build?
You know, I would say it's the engine, because that process was a difficult one. We first thought we'd put in an LSX, 454 LSX engine.
Okay.
And then we decided to shift gears and go with the Borowski engine.
No pun intended.
Right. And that involved going down there and doing the dyno. And
Okay.
when they did the dyno inside of this building, they revved it up to 7,000 RPMs.
Wow.
And it was so loud and so scary. I
Right.
have never experienced anything like that in
Wow.
my life.
Extreme power.
Extreme,
Mhm.
yeah, but controlled
Mhm.
and just beautiful at the same time.
It really
And I
is.
think that was a really high point for the experience for me.
Hmm.
And then of course seeing it finished, that
Mhm.
was it just draws you, it seduces you when you
It
look
really
at it for the
does.
first time.
That's such a unique name, C-Ducer, which of course translates into seducer, and I love that nickname. So for some of our other auto enthusiasts, the 427 really converts to a 6.9 liter engine. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I
I
think
mean,
you're
that's huge.
Yeah.
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 Are there any other aesthetics or dimensions of the vehicle that you want to tell us about today?
You know, something that's really unique about this car is that it is an Art Morrison frame.
Okay.
And Art Morrison is one of the premier chassis builders in the country.
Okay.
And they made 2 chassis for a 1970 Chevelle SS. One of them was a prototype, and
Okay.
the second one was the one that we bought.
Wow.
And the beauty of it is it's not only an Art Morrison frame, but it's 4-wheel independent suspension.
What does that mean?
Means that each tire goes up and down independently, so
Wow.
they have multi-links, and our
Okay.
multi-links are for the most part chrome, so it's just as beautiful underneath as it
Yes.
is on top.
Absolutely.
But that's very unique. We don't know of any other cars in our area for sure, and probably the United States, that have the same kind of chassis as this one.
Okay.
So it's very rare.
Last 2 questions for you, 2-part question. If you had to describe this vehicle in one word, what would it be? I know I'm putting you on the spot.
I would say brutally beautiful.
Love it. 2 words. Beautifully. I love it. Brutally beautiful. And if you had to describe the type of work that doesn't have to be in 1 word or less, but if you had to describe the type of work that Kerry does with Kiss's classic cars and the quality of his work, how would you tell our viewers about his work?
Boy, it's top notch, and not just for he's done a Corvette for us, and that was just top notch, but it's all the cars that he makes
Great.
that they build. It's every seam, every gap, every nuance to the car. The fit and finish is absolutely beautiful, and I get comments at shows when I bring either of those 2 cars. People instantly know that Kiss's classic cars was the one that had restored it.
It sounds like, if I'm hearing you correctly, it sounds like he has a high attention to detail in everything that he does,
Absolutely.
or they do.
Really good way of saying it.
What are you most proud, last question, what are you most proud about with this vehicle?
I think the combination of it looking stock
Uh-huh.
and at the same time having a tremendous amount of performance.
Excellent.
And you don't typically see that in a 70 Chevelle. It's either one or the other.
One or the other, but you have married the 2 so nicely together.
I think that's a good way of putting it, yeah.
I so appreciate your time. This is absolutely
Thank
an
you.
honor and a privilege to even stand next to this vehicle, and I thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for yours too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.